Hi, my name is Ray, and I'm a 3D artist. Today, I will be explaining the process of creating a game animation like we would use in Riding Mullen's Skatrix. The first thing I usually do is animate the skateboard. First, I give the board a jump curve on its z-axis. This curve directly controls the jump trajectory, represented as if it was moving sideways. The board is a gimbal or gyroscope setup around its center of mass with one extra axis. First thing I do, I use the bottom axis of the gimbal to animate a roll of the skateboard. Following that, on the axis above that one, I spin the board 180 degrees, and this creates a rudimentary varial flip with no pop. Then I use the third axis to determine the amount of pop based on the jump speed. Finally, I use the top axis to add an additional 180 degrees of spin. This creates a 360 flip rotation where the curve of the pop directly controls the verticality of the flip. The next thing I do is put the feet on the board and attach them. I usually start flip trick animations with the feet, which is where most skate fans I would figure will be focusing. I get them into position on the most important keyframes and attached and detached on specific frames. Then I add some details to inform the rest of the body motion. Afterwards, I make the character jump. This helps me get the feet to reattach when the board gets caught in the air. The character has a similar gimbal that the board has, but his center of mass will change based upon his pose. I try to make sure that at the top of the jump, the skater would have to curl up based on his center of mass's distance from the board. I make sure that the character's center of mass dips down to anticipate and recover from the jump, but ends up at the same height as the beginning. Following this, I use a gimbal to create some gentle rotation of the character to help define his stance and set some keyframes for his upper body. At this point, I get into posing the character on these keyframes. You will notice two crosses coming from the middle of the skater. The green one is a center of mass generated by his pose, and the red one is the desired center of mass trajectory controlling the gimbal. As long as the green one stays generally aligned with the red one, his rotations and ballistic trajectories will be accurate. On my breakdown frames, I adjust the skater's arms, legs, back, and neck and head to compensate for any offset between the two center of mass helpers. This helps create style and nuance, but also helps keep the animation looking physically accurate. After this, I animate the movement of the board and the rotations of the fingers. These are the smallest details, but can take the longest and add a lot to the animation. I use the gimbal to separate the movement frames on the different helpers and then use the speed of the board to inform its turn angle on the same axis that controls the pop shove it. Finally, I make sure that the trajectories of the extremities are consistent and not jerky visually, and add some final style adjustments to the board. The changes I made caused me to have to adjust my upper body poses once more to account for the changes that my trajectory adjustments made to my green center of mass, but slight adjustments is all it takes to realign. If I don't wish to change the pose, I can always adjust the translation of the rig's hips. This is the final product after another couple minutes of adjustments. Thank you for watching, and I hope this was informative or interesting to those interested in character animation, one of the many processes in making a game.